All good?
You're good there, Roger.
All right, Tim, how does it feel to kind of be back where it all started? Newton High School, now back here, coaching when you're done playing, now you're the hitting coach of the Atlanta Braves.
I know, it is very rewarding. What a great organization, franchise. Growing up, those early 80 teams was my favorite. I've said before, the Claudell Washington, the Dale Murphy's my favorite player growing up, and it just reminds me sitting at home and with my dad in the front, the kind of the living room, just talking baseball. That's where I cut my teeth with the game, and just listening to him and having so many good memories. And now, wearing the jersey and being around some of these guys, it's pretty awesome.
Since you mentioned Murph the first time I talked to you, has he reached out or?
No, he hasn't yet. So he hasn't yet, but can't wait to talk to him.
What's been your first impression of just take these guys going through BP several days with you? All the early arrivals, as most of the team seems like.
It is. I mean, you see how many guys are here early. To me, it's like they're focused. I mean, it's been really impressive. Like they've walked in the door and kind of got a little chip on their shoulder. It's really focused work, good interaction, and a lot of them are here early, and that just tells me they're ready to go, and they're trying to get prepared for the season.
We talked to you in November, I think it was, but after you got to dig into the film a little bit and get to know these guys, what were some of your takeaways from last year that I guess you've relayed on to them?
I do think some of the injuries, it kind of changes the order and changes the expectations. And there's a lot of guys that, they get up there and they get guys in runners in scoring position and, just probably getting away from themselves. That happens. That's the mental affects the physical. So I think that was part of it. And then I think some guys just fell in some bad habits, some movement patterns that, got away. And so we've talked about cleaning up some of the movement and some of the thoughts, and that's where the spring training just kind of keep grinding on that and keep understanding what they think and how they prepare. I think would be important for me to get to know and try to help them in those challenging moments.
What excites you about
movement? How much can injuries? Guys always say when you come back from injury, it's like everybody thinks you're the same guy because your name on a lineup card. How much can you overcompensate with some of the movements because of injuries or after?
Absolutely. It's subconsciously. I mean, sometimes your body protects. Your body's always in protection mode a lot of times, and whenever you have an injury and you're trying to come back, it takes a little while for the mind to let it go. But a lot of times it's the work and the protection, and you're trying to get back the game. Hitting is a timing mechanism, and timing can be affected, and so it takes a little while, and so that's injuries can play a big part of it.
Sean Murphy's injury kind of happened at the worst possible time. Day one, he misses 2 months. Have you seen enough of him here, and then looking at his stats when he was with Oakland and first half of the first season here, to know what a hitter he is?
Yes, I've been on the other side of the diamond against him when he was in Oakland, obviously being with the Rangers, and he's a dynamic player. He can change the scoreboard in one swing, and I've seen him when he's going really well. And so we've got to get him back, just kind of some alignment things I think will help him out. But most of all is clear his mind. He's had this off season to think about things. I know he's ready to to get started and get this thing going.
Who are you eager to work with the most? Like when you've looked at the tape and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on this one.
I think there's a lot of the guys. I mean, the talent is here. So that's, as a hitting guy, it's fun to see the talent and engage with the guys and seeing what they're capable of doing. They have a lot of them have long resumes here, and they've played really well. And for me, it's more of seeing how they work, how during the games, what's their mindset, what's their challenges, what's the roadblocks. So that's the fun part for me, is getting in the battles with them and see how they react, and helping them out with maybe some new thoughts, some cleaner thoughts, and see if we can get this thing going.
What's kind of your coaching style? Because when we were talking with Austin Riley, he said being a hitting coach is tough. Like every guy kind of has a different thing. So how do you kind of find what works for each guy?
Yeah, I have 3 principles. I mean, I've stuck with them my whole career: game planning, swing decisions, and mechanics. I mean, and kind of their movement in the box. And this day and age, so many players there's so much information out there. So I think the art of coaching is being able to narrow a lot of the thoughts. And I call it like the why to narrow. What's the most important thing for today? And a lot of times they get so much information thrown at them then they get lost in of who they really are. And so my philosophy is like taking information and condensing it down to what's that main focus for them today. Let's win the small battles that will show up in a game. And then, that it goes for all those aspects like game planning. I mean, what's the most important thing that they need to focus on today, like the meat and potatoes of it. And then when I think you get 9 guys in that mindset, then it's kind of that 9-on-1 approach. If we get 9 guys fighting the pitcher together, then that's when we're more, more aggressive, more confident, and we can do some damage. Where we mess up is we get thoughts and we think about a lot of information and we get confused and we're all over the place. I feel that's where we mess up a lot, and that's where the inconsistency starts.
What excites you about this lineup when you have a healthy Acuna, Sean Murphy in this lineup consistently?
What is they get a couple up guys on base. I mean, do you really want to face some of the big boys that we have? And that's the part. It's like we got to win 90 feet. We got to really value getting on base because it makes the next man up so much more valuable and so much more deadly. And I think that's out of the, a big part of this is each guy doing their part, understanding their role, because we get guys on base. I mean, I've never been around a pitcher that loves to pitch with people on base, and especially with a lineup that can change the scoreboard in, one swing, and that can do the damage that they can do.
Do you think that some of the principles you were talking about and knowing Matt Olson the way you do can help him? Like last year, he ends up having decent numbers, but the first 99 games, worst slump of his career.
Yeah. I mean, obviously expectations, I think, trying to do too much. And then you get away from yourself. I think we just get back, and I mean, he's even said it. I think, wants to get a little more selective and get back to, just that calm approach. A walk is just as valuable, like just getting on base to keep the line moving. And I think that's when he's doing that, he's at his best.
What about Profar? I guess like baseball, it's cliche, but baseball people say he kind of makes things happen, whatever he's doing. What makes a guy like that such a good at bat?
He sees the ball really well, and he gets on base. And I think that's the part where pitchers have to throw strikes to him. He's just not up there free swinging and giving at bats away. I think that's the part. It's definitely being a switch hitter helps, but he's a dependable at bat and going to grind and not just give free strikes away.
Acuna said this knee is much more stable at this juncture than the other knee was coming back from surgery. Can you see him in a cage looking confident and stable?
I mean, just getting to know him, I can see that. Like he's got a smile on his face. The ball is jumping off his bat, as you guys saw that first batting practice where he was hitting balls. Yeah. So yes, and that's one of the things he said to me is that he used the word stable, and he goes, he feels strong in his lower half, and when he feels strong, a lot of good things are about to happen.
That's crucial, right? I mean, you can't do much if you're not confident in your knee.
If you don't have a foundation, then the hands and everything above the lower half can't work properly.
Being a product of that 1990 draft, do you ever speak to Chipper back then, or kind of talking about?
Yes, I mean, we've talked a couple times about hitting, and yes, it's brought back some stories. But he's, I can't wait to come to spring training when he comes down here and just kind of tell stories and pick his brain of some of the things, some of his I won't say tricks, but some of his insight to the game and to hitting is it makes everybody better.
When a guy goes through kind of like a tough time at the plate for a long stretch of time, what is kind of your philosophy of helping him break through that throughout the season?
I go back to simplify. It's like calm the mind down. Let's just get back to basics, get back to one thought. Our brains can only handle one thing at a time, and sometimes when you're going bad, it's like multiple thoughts in your head. You step in the batter's box and you let a lot of outside noise affect you. And simplify, focus, what you need to do, because if you're not focused, the pitcher's going to focus for you. And then he's going to take control of you, and so we want to control our at-bats, and so I think the mindset's a big part of that.
Chris, I read that you were influenced by Tony Gwynn. I'm curious you can learn a lot of things, I'm sure, for Tony Gwynn, but what are the things that you took from him?
You know what, was how to prepare. He really prepared for his at-bats, he prepared for the game, and part of my philosophy of taking a lot of information, a lot of thoughts, and making sure you narrow them before the game, and what is the most important thing I need to think about, focus on when I step in the batter's box, and not have multiple thoughts, multiple swing, mechanical thoughts in my head, is being prepared and win that one pitch at a time, and he was one of the best.
Did you ever think that you would get to be a coach for the team that you grew up cheering for?
No, not at all. I didn't. I even as a player, I really was like, hitting's my passion. I've always, as a player, just, I guess, my eyes attract to the swing, and I love to talk about it. But, when I was a player, I was like, I'm never going to coach. I'm not, it's not. And then I got out of the game, and one thing led to another, and I'm so glad I jumped back in.
The cages are about to open, so we're going to let Tim get to work.
Thank you.